Today we're going to talk about 12 tips on how to form a union and not get yourself fired. Base Building for Power is an international training organization. My name's Harley Augustino. I've been a union organizer for over 15 years and have organized dozens of places into unions. Forming a union is really one of the most concrete things you can do to improve your life and your family's life. With a union, you can win higher wages, quality health insurance, job security, reduced workload, retirement, and more. But really, unions are only as strong as the members of the union and how much they're willing to fight for it. So if you're forming a union, it's very important that you and your team of coworkers understand this. Nobody's going to do it for you, and you're going to have to stand up for yourself. But you are following in a path of many, many generations of workers that have successfully improved their lives through unions. We have 12 tips for you today. The first, talk to a union organizer. Find a union and a union organizer as soon as possible. Now, depending where you live, how many unions exist in that area, it may be a little more difficult or easy, but you can Google labor councils, AFL-CIO in your area, and often they can direct you to the union that is appropriate to your industry. As we know, many unions are busy fighting attacks of their members, and if you do a little bit of the legwork that I'm going to show you, it may help you have a union ready to step in and join you and advise you on the following steps. You can start some of these steps without talking to a union organizer. However, I highly recommend that you do some of that research and try to talk to somebody ASAP. Number two is don't talk about the union. Now, that may be counterintuitive because you're organizing a union, but you really only want to talk with anybody or mention the word union to people that you trust 100%. I can't tell you how many union drives I've seen gotten killed before they even started. And how that happened is somebody went and started talking about the union before building a team and a structure of folks being willing to fight back. Three is you need to understand the labor law. Many people will tell you, oh, you can't get fired for organizing the union. Technically, that is correct. However, in practice, there actually needs to be evidence that you're organizing the union. For example, if you just willy-nilly started talking about the union and then the management fired you and you said, well, you fired me for organizing the union, they'd say, what are you talking about? We didn't know you were organizing the union. We just fired you because we had to make layoffs at this particular time. Going public as a union is the best way to protect against that. So important that you're very disciplined, especially at the beginning, and understand that labor law doesn't protect you as much as many workers think if you're not organized and don't have a team. Number four, build a list. Anybody can start doing this in your workplace. You can collect schedules, phone numbers, emails, social media. Any information is very helpful to understand the beginnings of forming the union. For example, you need to know how many workers there are so you know how many votes that you need to form the union. Number five, look at your list and identify leaders who are respected in the workplace. Now, if you're one of these people, that's even better. But if you're not, then you should think about who are the people that are the most respected. If they said, we need to form a union and we need to stand up to management, their coworkers would support them. Now, one common misunderstanding is that most people think, oh, the most pro-union person is the best person. The leaders are the people who have influence, and often they're not the most pro-union. Often they've been there the longest, and usually they're very respected, not just as people, but as workers. So they're usually seen as good, capable workers of their coworkers. You want to identify these folks. And then number six, to build relationships with these leaders. Now, again, I would recommend, especially if you haven't talked to a union organizer yet, not to talk about the union, but that doesn't stop you from going to coffee with someone, or let's say you have a common interest. You both like to play tennis. Well, then go play tennis with them, get to know their lives, get to know their families, invite them over for dinner. Building relationships with the leaders in the workplace is absolutely key. Number seven, Identify issues. You can do this just in the course of working. People just complain about their work. That's a normal thing that people do. If, for example, somebody gets their hours cut and they think it was unfair, write that down as something that would be helpful when you go and talk to your union organizer. Keeping track of all the issues that people complain about. Again, don't talk about the union. I would not say, oh, a union would fix this, right? Until you have a team and a plan in place. Number 8, familiarize yourself with the company playbook. What that means is that the companies have a very familiar set of things that they do to try to stop unions. Now, sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not, but it's very important that you understand what they're likely to do. So first of all, understand why they don't want you to have a union. And usually there are 2 reasons. One, money, because if you fight for more wages, better benefits, a pension, that's going to cut into their profit. And the other part is power, because if you have a union, they can't just do whatever the hell that they want. The second thing you need to think about and understand is what they do to try to stop you. And usually that goes into 2 categories. One are bribes, pizza party, oh, we love you. They may treat you very, very nice to get people to not talk about the union. And then the other is the stick, right? Carrot and the stick. Fire people or trying to discriminate against folks. So it's important that you understand what is coming from the company, what they use. This is across all industries, so that when it happens, you're not surprised and your coworkers are not surprised. Number 9, learn about union victories. While the company's playbook may be daunting, may be scary, the fact is millions of workers have won regardless of what the heck the company did. And so it's important that you are grounded in the inspiration of these victories. You can find these victories everywhere. If you want current victories, I often look at labor notes. You can also look at pro-union films, like Norma Rae is a great one. But it's important that you understand that you are on a path that has been paved before you by millions of workers and union organizers that have won unions and improved the lives of themselves and their families. Number 10, plan to be there through the first contract. If you're serious about the union, it's important that you don't push for the union as you're going to quit, because there's really 2 steps. One is to organize the union, and then the second step is to organize the union contract, which is often a big, big fight. And so don't do a disservice to your coworkers by trying to form the union and then leaving. Like, go there with the intention that you're going to fight through that first contract. After you win that first contract, it will win the concrete gains. Now, remember, unions are only as strong as their members. They're also not perfect. You are the union, and we always need to make it better and stronger. Number 11, once you have a union, you will decide when to go public. This step is very important to have with a union and a union organizer. But the various steps is that you would form a union committee, which is a team of people who are standing together and are going to help each other when there's challenges that'll come up. And then you develop a structure. So let's say you have 50 people in your workplace. Ideally, you want to get 80% on board with the union. So that would be 40 people. And let's say you have 8 people and they each talk to 5 people each. 8 people talking to 5 people each would have 40 people covered. Now, legally, you need 50% either through a card check or through an election. But you have to remember that when the company starts throwing bribes and threatens people, you're going to lose some percentage, right? And sometimes you can gain it if people are really united and fired up. Once you have that 80%, then you're going to get people to sign union cards, and then you'll decide whether to go and when to go public. And as I mentioned before, once you win the union legally, which each country has a little different method of how that happens, there's always the first contract that you have to fight for. Number 12, now's the time. Don't wait. We're in a moment where people are waking up. People are pissed at what is going on, at the cost of living, at how much their companies are profiting on their backs. So right now is a good time to form a union. But to be successful, you have to be smart, you have to be disciplined, you have to be discreet, and you have to be united. So thank you for joining us. Please like, comment, and subscribe so we can get more content like this out here. And there's more information in the description. Have a great day.